We'll call this September the 10th, 2018 meeting of the Area Plan Commission to order. Will you please join me in our pledge to the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
I assume
Next
those are
will be
yours.
Yes.
roll call.
Ruby Seiler,
Present.
Jason Waterman,
Here.
Dick O'Neill,
Here.
Ed Harrell, Leota,
Here.
Shirley Wise,
Absent.
Chad Frank,
Here.
Warren Sudoff,
Here.
Stephanie McCann,
Here.
Bill McDaniel,
Present.
our attorney Ann Sanders, and myself.
So we have a quorum.
Yes.
Next item is the approval of minutes for,
Well, we actually have two.
for
There's an
January the 8th meeting and the one for April the 9th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes for January 8th, 2018 and April 9th, 2018.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you for the second. Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we have no public hearings this evening. So the next item is sign regulation update.
Okay, and I did do some heavy editing to reduce the number of pages in my explanatory memo, which I also want to have online for people. So what I'm hoping is that as you reviewed it, whether it's easily understood or not. So I did have a lot of extra information in it, if I try to really compress it down into what's actually critical, within what we're doing, and then the Reed versus Gilbert, the case law that's compelled this action, the regulations. Does anybody have any questions or anything, or comments about the memo on the 2018 replacement sign regulations?
Just a correction I spelled earlier.
We'll get that to next. Okay, and what I also want to do is include this article from the from the Washington Post. I have another article at home in the office, but it's also very legalistic. But it's written for legal community and planners. It's one of the better documents. But as far as one that is aimed more to general audience, I think this is probably the best article and explanation of the Supreme Court case that I've come across. So what I'd like to do is then, in addition, also then post this along with the draft, and then also a copy of the current regulations. So any questions, comments, starting with the first page? And you can see on the second page is I tried to work on the language that I had with the mural and the art language. So because that's actually, I don't know if anybody recalled reading, was it sometime last year, about the problem in Franklin, Indiana had, because they were treating murals just like they do any other signs. So there's the restrictions, the permits, and everything else that they have to go through. So the idea of this was to, just like anything else, if someone sponsors, a company sponsors it, you really want them to have their information on the sign. But the mural, but the focus is to actually be a public mural and not a sign. So that's why it's the maximum size of the 16 square feet, which is actually pretty good size, but if you're having a full-size mural, it's not quite so much. And where I came up also with the 16 square feet is that's the approximate area on the Duke electricity mural. You know, as far as with their information. And then on the off-premise sign, I worked on the language to clear that up really on the time, place, and manner. And basically, they'd be treated. They're treated just as a freestanding sign, subject to all the spacing requirements, the setbacks, and the sign area requirements and the height requirements. So I think I took care of some of the concerns I had with that. Now, as we get onto the third page, is everything with the red right there are actually. Okay, we had all of these, but I found language that was a little more clear than what I had, which is why I made those edits. And now the language on page 4 with the freestanding sign and you know, the ground sign information. A lot of that right there is it's additional information in the definition. And if people wonder about the definitions, is because the definition is one of the key things that you have in any ordinance. And because everything that you do is, this tells you what you need. The typical part is if you don't define it within your ordinance, then what gets used is just your typical normal definition. Say, whatever you pull up out of Webster's dictionary or. Okay. And let's see. Okay. And now this part right here on the temporary signs, that red, the addition at the end, included that because that was already in place. The temporary signs are not permitted as off-premise advertising for businesses, services located at a property where the Okay.
I noticed that too.
Yeah, I need to.
Just, I think A needs to come out. Right? Services located on the property where the sign.
Yeah, it should be, not located on property, not. Yeah, that should be not. Yeah, that's the key is the, and that's language it's already in the existing sign ordinance.
Okay, right here now, where it says at A, should that be not? Or should that just,
Okay, left at located at a. That should be, basically, the idea should be a location other than where the sign is located, other than where sign is located. But that's the general gist of it. That's something we already have in place. But when I did these initially, is I didn't bring that clause into the new ordinance, the proposed ordinance. Okay, and as the same thing with the language on the signs that are prohibited, and it's just once again, it's just clearing up the language. It's like, these are the reasons why you don't want certain signs and certain types of signs. The basic rationale. Okay, so let's see, inflatable signs. Okay, snipe sign. Okay, all right. As we get into this other one, now we're getting into the sign program. And the computation is the same, the sign area is the same as we had previously. Okay, then when we get into the table.
okay, before we get there on
Yeah, sure.
page 7,
Yep.
I circled it. In the middle of that sentence, number 9,
Yep.
size, area, and height may not be changed. Legal non-conforming status post. Should that say lost?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Ed. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. The importance of extra eyes. Yeah. Okay. Then, And this one right here is just, there's just some things I need to, with, when you look on the page 8, it's just some things I need to do because of the temporary signs. It's making reference to the section in the code. And I just need to make changes regarding side setbacks on temporary signs. Okay. And that's the same thing also with the freestanding signs also for shopping centers in addition to single tenant. And then also same thing on page 11. All right. Okay, now we get into page 13, which are the next series of them. And I was trying to, props to Chad, Mr. Frank there on D, on the regulation of the other signs with the temporary signs. Okay, and now does the idea with the actual spacing where it's located away from the road and so on?
No, the three,
No, I'm just saying, are you, because I know you had a concern with that part right there. Does at least this part meet your concerns? The, about, because you mentioned
I
that there's a
think
lot
so.
of places where
because you
there's
get-
no place to put it between, on the other side
there's
of the
no place
sidewalk.
to put it, and if you're going with a sign that big, you're gonna be obstructing views anyway, so if you, 3's too small when I measured my signs,
Yeah.
the real estate signs.
Mm-hmm.
3.5 was right on the money.
Okay, 3.5 feet height. Yeah, well, and that's why I asked you specifically, is because
Yeah.
with the real estate
That's,
signs.
I think that's gonna be the tallest temporary sign you're gonna see anywhere.
Yeah, because most of the people just take those little cheap ones and stick in the ground. Huh?
Some people do, we have the good ones,
Yeah,
but
including your campaign signs?
those are cheap ones. But yeah, as long as you're, to me, it's more of a factor of if you're blocking a view and you can't get out.
Yeah.
And see, like, I was pulling out of Skyline down there in Brookville.
Yeah.
Kroger had a sign up and you could not see
Yeah.
cars coming around that corner. To me, that's more of an issue
Yeah,
than anything.
yeah. Yeah. 'Cause yeah. Okay, and now, since Stephanie, you weren't here, and I think Ruby also for a lot of the conversations we had, is that one of the things that come around, because it used to be that you could differentiate between campaign signs, signs for the chili breakfast, the pancake breakfast, anything like that, all these various signs. But after this Reed versus Gilbert, you can't differentiate. Everybody has you gotta treat them all the same. So that's where, some of the time, comes into place. So the idea is that you need to strip out the idea is you wanted to strip out all the exceptions, all the differentiating between uses, because between speech, speakers, they all gotta be the same. So, which is where that thing with that emphasis on time, place, and size. Okay. And, let's see. Okay, and, okay, and that one with H and I, those were already there, but I just worked on the language a little bit. On the time frame which something needs to be removed after the event. And so, which is why temporary event activity, it doesn't say one thing or another, but it's just after it's done, you just gotta move it within 7 days. Okay, now, if there's a risk to actual safety, is whether it's the city or the county can have them say, it's an unsafe point. Just like what you mentioned with when you're down there with the Skyline. So that right there is, then that would be, it's so for example, is your ordinance enforcer for the city of Connersville could go down and say, look, you need to move the sign because it's causing a safety hazard. Okay, all right. Okay.
Number 4. There where the red is.
Yeah,
Read that sentence for me.
okay. I think that might have been an internal monologue on that. Okay, when mounted on a residential structure, home occupation signs shall not exceed 4 square feet. Ground mounted signs may not exceed 8 square feet. Okay. Okay, what I'm trying to do with that is that it's Yeah, yeah, that could stand to improve the language on the setback.
Yeah, and then toward the end there, I couldn't,
Yeah,
and no closer than 15 feet a road travel lane.
okay, from a road travel lane, because that was the idea.
And
Yeah,
over here earlier, probably needs the word "and" in there.
okay,
Would that clean that up?
we're at now.
Square feet and must be placed.
Square, oh, yeah, and, yep, that would clean that one up.
From, okay, gotcha.
Right, okay. This has all pretty much been the same with the permits, permitting process, that's what we've always had. Okay, then since signs in the public right of way, since after discussions with Mr. Frank, is that, that's why this is added to signs in the public right of way with the temporary signs. Okay, because previously we had no, but then as Mr. Frank back in April pointed out, it just isn't always feasible. And it probably isn't always feasible also on, along some of the county roads either.
You're still on 15.
Still on 15.
Down at the bottom under D.
Yep, okay, bottom under D. Oh, under prohibited signs? Yep.
Under prohibited signs. D.
Yes,
At the end of that sentence, it says, "or confuse drivers, thereby increasing their risk of between." Vehicles.
risk of, oh, yes.
Just a word left out, I think.
And a conflict, something like that, conflict, accidents, something along those lines, okay. All right, yep. Yeah, so that's, yep. Okay, let's see. Anything else, Rob?
I think that's all I have.
Okay, all right, then, okay, then 17 is the, now what I tried to do is I just changed the language a little bit, but something we had in place for the previous sign regulations, is that the idea is that, really, whether it's a school corporation, whether it's a city, the city of Connersville, whether it's a county, whether it's a township trustee, whether it might be the library. So they still need the fees, but does it really make sense to then another local tax entity in Fayette County to charge them a fee? Basically, to me, it's robbing Peter to pay Paul type of thing. So that's what that is. And ideally, I'd like to get that sort of language also included in the zoning code, but, so, that way every time, say, the city or the school corporation wants to do something, they don't have to come to the commissioners to waive the fee. Because you guys are gonna have one probably the next meeting. It's gonna be for the solar project for the city, because they have multiple locations. And so what they will do is request the waive, not the permit, but waive all the fees for the different solar projects.
Gee, I don't think you ought to do that.
Well, that's okay. You don't have to. I mean, that decision's above my pay grade, so I really don't care ultimately.
Okay.
But any other questions, comments, anything along those lines from anybody? I would like to read one thing off from the director's report before we get there. And it's a reminder that I will be out of the office on a vacation beginning Saturday, September 15th until Monday 1st. Bill Crawford, he's under contract with the county to handle the inspections in my absence. Because of his work in the mornings, the inspections will be limited to the afternoons. And most complicated permits, they'll have to wait until I get back, as with the petitions, until I get back to process the first week of October. Now, some simple projects is that Mr. Crawford will feel comfortable with, such as pole barns or electric upgrade permits, things along those lines. He'll take care of those particular type of permits, but when it gets a little more complicated and other things he really doesn't feel comfortable with, those are gonna have to wait for me. So if anybody has a big project, well, get it to me tomorrow, or you're gonna have to wait until October.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure, Dick.
This George's Pharmacy.
Yeah.
Property owner, what's the holdup on that?
I honestly don't know. I really don't. Oh, I'm trying to think. Someone mentioned something that they talked to someone with it, but last I heard was maybe in October. So I really don't know what the holdup is. And contrary to what anybody else might say, I have nothing to do with it. It's not me. Yeah. Yeah, because people like to blame me for the holdup on the Hardys, but I had nothing to do with that either. Okay, but if there's nothing else, then I guess director's report.
Director's report.
Move to accept as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept the director's report as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yeah. Hey, Chad. Okay, if I get you a master copy on a CD, could you get copies to all the signed stuff to the city council members?
On a CD,
Yeah, or a CD or multiple CDs for those.
I don't read CDs,
I mean, you don't do electronic files.
not on CDs.
DVD.
Flash drive, man.
Flash
Flash
drive.
drive?
Well, flash drives cost a lot more
I'll
than
buy
those
you a
discs.
flash drive.
They're getting cheaper.
Yeah, but
How many do you want?
I don't have it in my, actually, I don't think Leota wants to pay for the amount of the commissioner's supply line item.
Just email what you want and I'll make sure they.
Okay, I'd appreciate that then. Yep, that'll be another one. So that way is the emphasize to them, say at the next city council meeting, that to please look at this stuff, so if they have any questions for October, so they can get questions to me in writing, any comments or concerns, so that after the public hearing, I don't show up, which has happened with the public meetings for the approval of amendments, and I just get gobsmacked with,
When you get that updated, just send it to me and I'll get it in your hands.
okay, I'll make those changes, I'll get it to you before I leave then. Great, thank you very much, Mr. Frank. Councilor Frank?
Okay. Next item is adjournment. Motion to adjourn, and do I have a second?
No, I don't have an announcement I'd like to make.
Oh.
I want to invite all the community to the annual Fayette County Health Fair that will be held in the city parking lot on Friday between 10 and 2. And they're going to have a Medevac helicopter there, thanks to Mr. Ellis, our emergency management director, and there'll be about 15 vendors who will be there taking blood tests and checking for diabetes and blood pressure and etc. So there'll be some door prizes and goodies given away, and it's open to the full community, and there is no charge.
Very good.
You're all invited to come, and anybody that's watching on TV.
This Friday from 10 till 2.
Yes.
It's coming Friday, okay.
And
So-
we're having apple dumpling days downtown too.
Yeah, so are they bringing it in or are they gonna fly it in?
I have no idea.
Because
That's
it's,
an Adrian question.
yeah, because that's,
I was
of course, the
curious
only
about
place I
whether
could
we-
think about where they might land it, though, there's all sorts of, utility lines.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have no idea. I just know that Adrian said he had gotten hold of a helicopter to
Oh, that's fantastic.
show off, and
Yep.
last year he gave away emergency radios, and this year he's brought in a helicopter, so he's doing what he can to impress the community.
Yep. Well, count me as impressed.
Okay.
Okay, did we have a second to the motion to adjourn?
I'll make a second.
Okay, motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.